Welcome to Season 2 of the Lake Show podcast. We have Kelly Amonte Hiller here.
Scott Hiller.
And we're really excited that you have been following along. And we're just really excited for the new year. Thank you so much for your interest in our program. If you are not a subscriber of our YouTube channel, please give us a follow, and hopefully you'll get some interesting tidbits about me and Scotty today. So the first topic for me and Scotty is kind of how it started for us, how we met, and how we got into this lacrosse thing together, came to Northwestern. So I don't know if you want to kick it off, Scotty?
Sure, I can give it my best shot. I think Kelly and I met, and I can't remember the year, but Kelly was in college, and one of my roommates, I was living in Boston at the time, and my roommate, Chris Cameron, was working for a company called Bryan, which still exists out of, is it Medford? Milford? Milford, Massachusetts. And Kelly was doing some promotional stuff for Bryan, working camps and clinics, and in the time when Chris was working with Kelly, we ended up meeting each other and spent some time together. Very slowly kind of met each other. Kelly was still in college. I was out of college. I was a little bit older. She was going to college. I was doing my thing in Boston, coaching lacrosse at Harvard, as well as working various jobs. But then at the end of the day, we reconnected a couple times while Kelly was in college, and after college we started dating, and then we ended up getting married.
I'm going to say my dad was probably not super thrilled when I brought Scott home and he was a little older, but they learned to love him and not be hung up on the age thing. But
that was a tough one. I mean, you got brothers Rocco and Tony is the first thing you step into. So. And being 6-7 years older, so it was a little, I was probably over my skis a little bit.
Definitely. But they learned to like him, and my mom and my aunts would always just say, "Oh, I heard you guys are just friends," and kind of kept it low key there for a while. But then, I said, "We're getting married," and they said, "All right, I guess it's a little bit more than friends." But it's kind of cool because lacrosse really brought us together through the job that I had in college, and I just feel really grateful for what lacrosse has given the both of us, bringing us together, bringing us here to Northwestern. And obviously we have two beautiful girls together, and so it's been a great journey for sure. So we got married in 1999 and had the wedding down the Cape. My brother had a house on a golf course, so we had the reception there, and it was an amazing day. Lots of family and friends came, and just the start of our journey together. So I think the one thing about Scott and I is we both have pretty close families. His family is very, very close. He's one of 4. My family is very, very close. I'm one of 4 as well. So I think that that being said, and I think both of our parents really modeled, great hardworking people, great marriages, and they just were awesome role models for the both of us. And it was kind of cool to see the two families come together, and obviously, Scott's from Long Island. I'm from Boston. A little bit of a difference there, but I think that it was just an amazing start to the journey down the Cape, and then we went from there.
Yeah, I think I'll kind of expedite this a little bit, but I think that from there, I think I was still kind of coaching at Harvard. Kelly was doing some working for Bryan after we got married. What did you do? Were you going to grad school? I can't know what you're doing.
Yes, I worked at UMass for a little bit. I had a short stint coaching there, and I started grad school there. And then I came back after we got engaged, and I transferred to Boston University, which, you know, my family has a long history there, and my brother played hockey there, and now I have two nieces and one nephew there. And so I started grad school again, trying to get my MBA. Scott was in law school
Yeah, I
at
think
Suffolk.
Suffolk University, which every time I bring it up, it's definitely a fog for me, because at the time, I think I was coaching lacrosse at Harvard. I was going to law school at night. I was working at UPS the night shift after law school at night. And those 3 years were very, very blurry, because you know, I wasn't getting much sleep. And Kelly was doing kind of starting her career, figuring out what she wanted to do, whether it's grad school, coaching. I was trying to get through law school. And figure out what I was going to do next too. To be quite honest with you, because I had played professional lacrosse in Boston, you know, played on various club and U.S. teams, and trying to figure out what the next step was for me. And you know, decided to actually go to law school. And then while I was doing that, again, we were dating and trying to figure out start our life as being married too. So it was very busy and very like I said, it went quick, but it was foggy. So after that, that was like, I think '99 I finished law school. So.
No, you were still in law school when I first came out here. So
Yeah,
basically,
but I finished law school in '99. You came out here in '99.
yeah, maybe.
I think that was the first club year. Whatever.
Yeah, I remember I was playing on the USA team, and I got the call. I had been coaching a little bit at BU, 2 years there, and I got the call from Northwestern. The athletic director at the time and a few of the senior administrators here at Northwestern had their roots at Boston University. So they were at Boston University when my brother was there, so they kind of knew of our family and knew of myself. I think they probably went through a lot of other candidates that said no, and they got to me because I really had never been a full-time coach. I hadn't recruited, I hadn't done any administrative work, and you know, they gave me a call, and I came out on the interview, and you know, just being so close to my family, I was like, I really don't want to move away from Boston. But when I came on the interview, I was just in awe of this place. I went running on the path on the lake, and then just the people are what struck me the most. I had an administrator, Nancy Lyons. She was the senior women's administrator. I spent a lot of time with her. And then Rick Taylor was the athletic director at the time. You know, they both interviewed me, and I remember I went to lunch with Claire Pollard, who's still here as the tennis coach, and just was really impressed with everyone. And then I was heading right to Australia for a tour with the USA team, and I remember just being so torn, you know, about taking this opportunity after getting the offer. And, you know, I really credit Scott with, you know, just giving me the courage to be able to do it. You know, he had said that he really never got that opportunity to be that head coach, and you know, that those opportunities don't come around that often. At the time, I had two brothers here in Chicago. So, you know, I did kind of have family here, and, you know, he just said, we can always come back. So I said, all right, I'll take the job. I had no idea what I was getting into. And it was really the start of the journey. That was probably the hardest year because we lived separate. But the administration was really good about it. I coached the club team, and then they would let me go home. We really tried not to have like more than a couple weeks where we didn't see each other, just because we were newly married, and so we made it work. Scotty finished law school.
Yeah, I think at the time, yeah, it was actually not the worst. It was, you know, we were being apart, but it gave Kelly an opportunity to kind of dig in here, get her feet wet out here, get to work, do things that she needed to do to kind of start the program. It gave me an opportunity to kind of finish off what I was doing in Boston by finishing law school. So we were both pretty busy, but I think it worked. It was it fit well at the time because it gave her an opportunity to do her thing, me an opportunity to finish my thing, and then figure out how to get out here. I guess what we were going to do once we got out to Chicago. So I think then, I think then when we came out to Chicago, I can't remember the years, but I know whenever it was, when we finally moved out here, we had a little coach house in Wilmette, and then I think I interviewed for a job at a law firm downtown. Also, for some reason, I think took a job at the same time coaching the Cannons in Boston. So again, just to add more confusion to what we were doing, I was going to be the lacrosse coach for the Boston Cannons, as well as starting a legal career in Boston, and Kelly was starting a lacrosse program with Northwestern. So we just definitely just kept ourselves pretty busy, probably trying to do a number of different things, probably again biting off probably more than we could chew at the time, but it was fun. It was all like, we were young. She was a little younger. We were trying to figure out what we were doing. Involved with lacrosse still, professional lacrosse. Trying to, working in a law firm, studying for the bar exams that I had to take, and Kelly was getting the thing going with the lacrosse team. So it was fun. It was exciting. Like I said, as we're talking now, I didn't really prepare for this, but it's just so blurry. But a lot was going on at the time when you think about it.
So then, as we started the program, Scott had a full-time job at a law firm. So it was definitely, he would come by and, always giving me advice at home. I always used him as a resource, lacrosse-wise. But in the beginning stages of the program, he didn't spend as much time with us just because he was really busy with his job as an attorney. And so, we just kind of got this thing going, recruited a bunch of amazing girls. We had 16 girls when we started the program, found a couple of gems on campus, the Custer twins, to add to that. And, it was really fun to start it off because it was a totally blank slate. And we had a lot of fun with the team and, tried to really create a family environment. We would even have them over to the coach house, even though it was very, very small. I think I think my brother was in the Olympics at the time. I remember we had a few watch parties for those games over at the place, and just started kind of building what we have here now. And then obviously in that fourth year of our program.
Well, I think if you go back to the first year the first season was 2001. So I remember we moved out here in early September of 2001. So we were driving out here, I think we drove out here, whatever the date was, September 6th or 7th of 2001, driving to Chicago to move out permanently. So we had that coach house in Wilmette where we were going to move into. So we moved into there. It must have been around the 8th and 9th of September. We moved in. And on September 11th, we get a call from, I think, my mother at the time. And she's like, "Scott, you watching what's going on?" We didn't have TV set up. Nothing was set up yet in the house. So I'm like, "What are you talking about?" She's like, there's an attack. New York is being attacked. I'm like, "Mom," she tends to exaggerate a little bit, but I'm like, "What do you mean New York is being attacked?" Because my brother at the time was working at Credit Suisse on Wall Street. And I was kind of like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "What do you mean New York is being attacked?" She's like, "Well, they're blowing up, the planes are crashing into buildings." And I'm like, "Kelly, we got to go down, we got to go figure out, find a TV somewhere." So we actually came to Pat and Jim. Was it Pat? No, not Pat and Jim. It was
we went to the auditorium up at Anderson.
Which is, I think, Anderson Hall now up there.
Yeah.
And everyone in the athletic department was watching this as these planes were crashing into the World Trade Center. So that was, and as you know, Northwestern's on the quarter system, so the kids that first class had not come out yet to campus. So the majority of these kids that we recruited were from the East Coast. So we had 13, 14, 15, 16, no, I'm sorry, how many kids was it? 13 or 14, whatever it was.
Yeah, we had 16 at the time.
So probably 13 or 14 now freshmen who we sold on this new experience coming out to Northwestern. It's going to be special. It's going to be great. You guys are going to be pioneers for lacrosse. And now the 9/11 happens, so there's no flights. The parents are obviously very nervous about now sending their kids, 1,000 miles away from home with what was going on in the world. So it was a really interesting start, to say the least. Emotional, interesting. Parents especially from the New York area who were involved in some of the stuff with 9/11.
A lot of kids took the train or
Yeah.
out here for their first time or drove.
Yeah.
Nobody really wanted to get on a plane at that point.
And if you remember, not only that, like that was going to be our next recruiting class too. So September is when you bring out recruits too. So now there were no flights. So now we have one class, I think. Well, you, not me, but there was one class out here at the time, and we had to figure out how to recruit a second class to bring out on visits.
That was probably the toughest recruiting year that we
Right.
ever had at Northwestern. It was just so hard to convince people to go away from home. And although there was expansion in the sport into the Midwest and some of the different areas, that was a really difficult time. And we did get 2 Ohio girls in that class. Linda McCandlish and Jenny Bush, and then we added, I think, 4 other girls from the East Coast. So we did convince a few gems to come out, but that was probably one of our most challenging recruiting years in the history of the program, for sure.
Well, yeah, that's how it started the first year. That's how it started with 9/11. So it was that's definitely a lot, I think, to kind of say, okay, now we're out here, now this happened, and then now, what do we do next? And, I think, like I said, we just kind of, not me, but just kind of put our head down, did what we were doing, and things kind of evolved. But like I said, I was then going back and forth a little bit to Boston to coach our professional team, so with the Cannons. So it was definitely some fun times.
And then, that first group that we had was just so amazing. We were able to add our second class, which was a bunch of amazing girls as well. We started to gain momentum, and I remember probably a week before our second season, one of our best players, Sarah Albrecht, ended up tearing her ACL. And I really had the feeling that year we were going to make some waves. Even though the first year we kept it competitive every game except for one, I really felt like this second year was going to be a breakthrough for us. And, when Sarah went down, it made it a little bit more challenging, but I really feel like I am of the philosophy that everything happens for a reason. And, Sarah tearing her ACL really allowed those other players to kind of step up, take the reins, and make an impact. And then going into our third year, we had a really strong recruiting class. Mm-hmm. We had, some really great players. Obviously, Kristen Chelman.
Sarah Albrecht, she's a funny one. If you remember, she came out for a recruiting visit. I don't remember what it was, but she was out here for 48 hours. And I don't think she said one word. She came out for 4. I'm like, did not say a word the whole time of the visit. I'm like, this kid's definitely not coming to Northwestern. And she didn't she went to Thayer Academy too, where Kelly went, and she didn't say anything. I don't know how she ended up saying she was coming. She ended up committing. But then, since she was in that part of that first class, so the first class was all freshmen, so there were no captains. So Sarah ended up, and I don't know how she went from not talking ever on a recruiting visit to being named captain her freshman year as a freshman. But then, so she hurt her knee, so she was actually the captain 5 times. So she was like a 5-time captain of our program, which is kind of cool, interesting. Well, a little bit of a unique story, but awesome. I mean, she was a great person, did amazing things for our program, and ended up going on and playing on U.S. teams and coaching individual lacrosse. But she was a funny funny person.
Absolutely. And then the third year, we added an amazing class. We had, a lot of names that you might recognize. We had Kristen Chelman, who's most recently getting inducted into the USA Lacrosse Hall of Fame. Lindsay Finacharo, she was an amazing defender for us. Ann Elliott, head coach at Colorado Boulder and previously played and coached with us. Allie Josephs, Kristen Bogey. I mean, you just go down the list. And what a great group. And they kind of really took us to another level. We knew we had something great that we were building, but I really felt like when that class came in, it was like, okay, we really can do this. And we had an amazing season. We had one tough loss. Remember at home, we lost to Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah.
And this is where I feel like, Scott, you were starting to get involved in the program.
Yeah, because we were
maybe that
doing,
third
I
year.
remember coming home from work, and then some of the kids wanted to do extra shooting. So I remember it was Kristen and Lindsay Monday and Allie Joseph, all those kids were like, hey, can we do some extra shooting, after practice? So I think I would come home from work, and we'd go over to the old indoor place, whoever time was 8, 9 o'clock at night, and we'd start shooting we'd shoot for like 45 minutes or so, a couple times a week. And
Definitely.
it started with like 1 or 2 people. It started like maybe Kristen and I can't remember who else the other person was. And maybe it was Kristen and Allie, I can't remember. They're like, hey, can we do some extra shooting? And then literally it just snowballed. And then by the end of the season, we had to do 2 sessions because it was a small area. It was that back part of the old indoor building. And there's like now 30, the whole team's coming. We have defenders in there, the customers are in there. The kids end up taking shots in games. So now they're all in there trying just to get better. So, and it was just fun. It was loose. They had the music going, and they just wanted to get better. And it was a fun time, fun group. And again, I think that's when I started really kind of getting a little more involved. But it was fun.
He was always involved from the beginning. Even in our first year, we didn't have any alumni.
Okay.
We wanted to have an alumni game, so we just ended up inviting all Scott's friends. They were playing, pro lacrosse or former lacrosse players. And unfortunately, during one of our games, Scott, was it you that shot and broke Ashley Gersick's thumb?
Well, I don't know if it was on a game, but I definitely broke it. Well, she claims I broke it, but I don't know if she actually broke it. But I think she only goalie. Oh no, we had 2 goalies. But
We had 2 goalies at the time.
yeah, those alumni games were fun. It was like I said, we had no alums, so I had a whole group of friends that we made a whole weekend out of it. So they would come down, meet me downtown at the law firm. We would go to Dicka's, have lunch, dinner, maybe more appetizers, and then we would come out here Friday night, whatever the game might be, Friday, Saturday. We would go to the football game. So there was a run there of 5 or 6 years where those guys would come every year, and we just funny stories from it. I mean, that's where the belt started. Where we started the championship belt. Like I think everyone's got belts now, but back in 2005, I don't remember too many people with the championship belts like giving them out to kids on the team, and that just started. And I don't know if I want to get into that, but that actually was.
Tell that story. That's a good one.
So let me get this. All right, so me and my friends, this Ricky sent it to us, got Bill Bijan, and there's a handful of us. We're at Dicka's, and actually Dick was there that night. He was playing cards upstairs. And so we're at Dicka's, and we're thinking we're just having fun, having some appetizers and a few drinks. And we're like, listen, for some reason we're having a shooting comp. That was it. I was telling these guys about the shooting competition that we started, and they're like, well, we need a belt. And I'm like, we need a championship belt. I'm like, that's a cool idea, but the thing's in like 4 hours. I'm like, we're actually going there from here. So this guy sent it to us. Like, I think let's look around. And I don't even know if like Google existed back then. I can't remember.
I think it did because I think you Googled it.
I don't know if the internet.
Championship belts.
Yeah, I think we
Evanston.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So we're at Dicka's, and Ricky or V's like, championship belts, Evanston. And this gym comes up, Alt Fit Gym. I'm like, no way. So
Boxing gym.
Alt Fit boxing gym. So we call. We're dying laughing. We're like, not only do we can't believe that we might have a lead on a championship belt in Evanston 2 hours before the shooting comp. So we call the place, and we're just hysterically laughing. So we call it, and the guy answers the phone. Alt Fit Gym. I'm like, you guys sell championship belts? No, who is this? I go, well, it's Scott Hill. He goes, I got one. I'm like, well, can we borrow it? He's like, you can borrow it, but you better bring it back tomorrow because there's a fight tomorrow night that we're going to give it out to somebody. I'm like, okay, where do we pick this thing up? He's like, well, over by, it's a 7-Eleven is now, but he's like, meet me in the alley by the train tracks by the Alt Fit Gym. And now we're just like, this guy wants to meet us in the alley in Evanston, and it's dark out. So, all right, well, whatever, we'll give it a shot. So get off the train, and we walk this alley. We're like half laughing and half like thinking we're going to get rolled, right? So we walk into this alley, and sure enough, there's a guy with his hat on, and he's got this belt. And we're like, oh my God. And he's like, and he wasn't friendly. And he's like, here's the belt, have it back tomorrow by 2 o'clock. Like, okay, cool. So we take this belt, and there's this big, whatever, it's an Illinois champion boxing.
Bedazzled.
All kinds of, like, it was huge. So
Gold.
we take it from there to the indoor where we were going to do the shooting comp. And now we I think we didn't have a robe yet. Did we have a robe?
No
But
robe yet.
I had Bees dressed up in a bathrobe.
Yes.
So Bees put on a bathrobe. He comes out with the belt. The kids are going crazy. We have the shooting comp. I think someone wins the shooting comp. And then the next day there was a football tailgate, and the belt's now at the tailgate. And everyone's laughing about the belt and whatever. And we're tailgating and having fun with some of the alums. And the belt then somehow gets brought into the stadium, and we lose track of the belt. And totally forgot about the other thing. We had to get this belt back to the guy. So I get a call probably 4 or 5 o'clock. Where the hell's my belt? I'm like, oh God. I'm like, I don't know. Where's the belt? We had tracked it down. Actually, we didn't track it down. We didn't get the belt. We couldn't find it. So he went to this thing on the south side, the Golden Gloves. He had no belt for his guys. The next morning, we find the belt somehow, and I have this guy, Bees. We pull into All Fit. I go, just run upstairs and throw the thing in the gym. So he runs upstairs, throws the thing in the gym, and that's kind of the end of it for a little bit.
Yeah, so then Scott was like, actually, Kelly, he's like, this gym looked pretty sick. It was unbelievable. He's like, there was boxing. He's like, I need you to go in there and talk to this guy to see what's up with it, because I think it could be really cool for our team to train there. He's like, but I cannot go in there because of this belt situation. So I'm not super comfortable with those awkward situations. So I went in there. I talked to this guy whose name is Dave, who ended up becoming a very, very good friend of ours and the program. And I said, hey, would you ever work with our team? I see what you're doing. It could be really cool. I'd love to try it out with them. So brought the team in there. And I mean, this guy, Dave, was...
It makes you guys more aware of that what you're in as a battle. You're applying your skills in boxing as a battle. When you're on that field, you're applying your skills not only as lacrosse players, but as warriors.
He really was truly incredible. He was always ahead of his time, whether it be like just on the mental side of things. He had all kinds of different people.
He was taking ice baths before ice baths even. Like he'd be jumping in the lake in November.
Yes, he was into the Wim Hof method. Tim McCormick and Scott.
That's a whole different story.
So anyway, he started working with our team, and I was like, Scott, this is incredible. Like, this guy is next level.
And I was like, I can't go. Like, they do this, so now they're boxing. Dave's doing boxing once a week with the girls. And I'm like, I can't go in there. So this was on for like months. And I'm like, I can't go, because this guy's going to see me and be like, that's the guy that stole my belt. And the belt was actually, believe it or not, the belt got broken. So on the way to bring it back, we had to stop at CVS, and we got glue. We had to kind of glue some stuff back on the belt. So I'm like, this guy's he's going to kill me if I see him. So finally one day I went in there. I'm like, all right, I'll go check it out. So I went in there. And
this was probably a year and a half later.
Yeah, it was a while. And he's kind of eyeballing me. And he wasn't very friendly to me. And he's looking at me, and he's like, doesn't say much. So everyone's got nicknames. He gives people nicknames. So I'm like, okay, maybe he didn't recognize me. So for a while then, now I'm going back, but he never really warmed up.
No.
Like he was really, so. And then eventually, after a while, he started talking to me a little bit. He said hi to me once. And then we kind of ended up, again, becoming very, very good friends over the course of many years. And he's just like Kelly said, he was one of our true friends. He was a really integral part of this program. And just with his motivation, him talking to us, and he's just a great guy. And I was very, very fortunate to know him. He ended up moving out to Colorado, and we still stay in touch. And it's just one of these characters that we've come across in the 25 years that we've been here that have been integral to what we do. No one would ever believe it if we told them, and just an awesome person.
When Tim McCormick and Danielle Spencer, Hopkins and Stanford, when they were on the staff, we used to do staff boot camps over there at like 6 a.m. It was literally the funniest, best experiences of our life. We literally still laugh about it. It was so funny.
Dave was a person that brought people together from all different backgrounds, all different livelihoods. It was such an eclectic, diverse group of people that would go. You couldn't even picture it. They all had nicknames, whether it was Churchy or whether it was, I can't remember some of them, but like Every person had a nickname, and you would just do this random stuff. We'd be jumping in pools. We'd go over the hill and be running with kettlebells and running backwards, and Dave would have the GoPro on, and it was awesome. And we actually did a few job interviews over there. We would bring people over there see if they, all right, well, I want to do a job with the assistant coach. I want to do, all right, well, you got to come do a workout with Dave. And if they actually got through the workout, we might hire them. And it was just a funny time. And thinking back, it was just a great experience.
So that was a big sidebar. We really sidebarred on that one.
That's
Sorry about that.
That's Dave Englund.
Yes. But back to the team, we, in that third year, we had a fantastic season. We ended up losing a game. I think it was I'm not sure if it was a conference championship or the last regular season game against Vanderbilt. We scored a goal at the end of the game. I'll never forget this. And this was like the last year of this rule. But used to have a rule where you couldn't follow through, like your stick couldn't break the plane of the crease. And Kristen had a nice goal at the end, and they called it back, and we ended up losing the game. So then we got a little bit of a lower seed in the NCAA tournament because of that loss. But that loss was like such an amazing learning experience for that group. We went down to Virginia in the quarterfinals. It was probably 100 degrees out. And our team played out of their minds. Like, they played so amazing. That year, Virginia was really, really strong. They had this girl, Amy Appelt, who was just basically unstoppable. And
Garden State High School, where I went.
Yes. And I was just so proud of our group. We competed so well, and we kind of felt at that point we were pretty close. We were on the verge of doing something great. So then the next year brought in a whole nother group of recruits, and that's when we really started on that undefeated season journey. Scott, again, was getting pretty involved, when he could. He was still working at the firm, but just, coming to practices when he could, shooting with the girls when he could as a volunteer assistant, and then we ended up winning, and that was our first championship. That was really, really a special time, and it was at a special place, the Naval Academy. That's where it was held, and that was a really, really cool experience for our players. And ironically, later on that summer, I played in my last USA games in the World Cup at the Naval Academy too, so we ended up really enjoying that experience, and a lot of the players came for that too.
Yeah, that was 2005, right? I remember that was great. It was really cool to be at the Naval Academy. One of my father's good friends at the time was the head coach at the Naval Academy, a guy by the name of Richie Mead, who was just the perfect lacrosse coach for the Naval Academy at the time, or any time really. And he, spoke to the girls about the importance of playing at Navy Marine Corps Stadium and all the different battles that are on the walls of the stadium, and how much they meant, and where, it was really cool for the girls to kind of have that kind of experience at the academy. And then there was even, bringing it back to the belt, we had a shooting competition the day before the game against Virginia. It must be maybe the day of the game, I can't remember. But one of my good friends from UMass, this guy Sal Acacia, was there. He came down to the game to watch, and he was on the site, came out to the shooting comp. And the kids were we were doing this shooting comp, and everyone's laughing and having fun and joking around. And this is the first national championship too. Like, this is 2005. These kids, this is the first championship they were playing in, and it was such a loose, fun environment. And after the shooting comp, me and Sal were just talking. He's like, "You're not losing today." He's like, "There's no way that team is losing. I've never seen a team so loose before a championship game." And sure enough, we went out and beat Virginia in a pretty close game. But it was just, you can just tell. Sometimes you just know. And we felt it. Sal felt it. The team felt it. So it was a pretty cool experience overall. And just to win that one was really amazing, to have that championship with that team from a team from Illinois in 2005 to win a national championship was really the start of a lot, not only I think it gave lacrosse a shot of adrenaline all throughout the country, and women's lacrosse especially, where other athletic departments, whether it was USC or Colorado, all these other schools, saw that somebody, a non-traditional area, can have a women's team win a national championship in the sport of lacrosse. I feel like that particular game really was a catalyst for a lot of programs that are in Division I women's lacrosse.
I think that during that time too, we had a different athletic director, Mark Murphy, who is now the CEO of the Packers. We ended up visiting him. He's in his last year there, and we ended up visiting him this fall, which was pretty amazing to kind of bring it full circle. But he was just such a great mentor to me, and really just a great leader. Being such a young coach, that mentorship from my administrators, I had Nancy Lyons, and then Mark Murphy, Noreen Morris. That type of mentorship that I had was really critical for me. And then having someone like Scott with me alongside that had a lot of coaching experience, whether it be pro or college, and then also with his law degree, just always had someone to go to that, could give me solid, sound advice. And then we kind of went on our journey of the run of 5 championships.
Like Kelly said, along the way, it's about people, and there's just so many special people. And like I said, Mark is one of them that really was an amazing, mentor for both of us. Just to see him, and he was a person who was very successful. I mean, he was in the NFL, won a Super Bowl, went to law school, went to business school, and to this day, if I sent Mark an email or a text message, he replies immediately. Or if you call me, he picks up the phone. I mean, he's just someone that...
He's so humble, one of the most humble leaders I've ever met.
Amazing lessons to learn from someone like, just watching something like that. He doesn't need to say much, but just to kind of watch him and how he operates. And like I said, Kelly said, to have the team go up there and meet him a couple months ago and tour them around Lambeau Field was really, really cool. Probably cooler for us than them. For the team, they don't realize the relationship, but it definitely meant a lot to us. And just to, like I said, that's the type of person you want. We're just lucky enough that kind of fell into our world.
For sure. So, then we ended up kind of building off of that first championship. The next class we had come in was a really strong class, led by the likes of Hannah Nielsen.
Well, we met Hannah Nielsen at that World Cup, right?
Yep, she actually played. And
she was young. She was like 16 years old, playing in that 2005 World Cup at the Naval Academy. So we saw her playing there and met her parents a little bit, and then started recruiting her to come to Northwestern. So again, and she didn't come until January for some reason. Oh, because their school.
Because their school finishes in the winter.
Right. Which I thought was going to be. I thought that might have been the quickest recruit we ever lost. Hannah Nielsen flew in January from Adelaide, where she's from, Australia. Summertime there, January here, picked up at the airport, in flip-flop, whatever she's wearing, and then right out to the field basically the next day for some type of conditioning. And literally, I'm like, this kid's going back home tomorrow. It was freezing cold, it was snowing, she's running, she'd probably never even seen snow.
Luckily, Hannah's tough as nails.
Yeah, she never probably saw snow, never knew what snow was. And then we were just like, oh boy, she might be gone in a week. But like Kelly said, she stuck it out with her class. And
that class was pretty incredible. I mean, you have 4 Hall of Famers in that class. You got Hannah, Morgan Lathrop, Hillary Bowen, Meredith Frank, and a host of others that were just kind of critical to getting that next group going. And then we had a crazy game in 2006 against Duke in the semifinal. We got delayed, there was rain, and there was an overtime. That was the last year that was the first year of boundaries in our sport. So our first championship, there was no boundaries. All our 2005ers say that was a big reason why we won, because they were just fast and weren't as good as at catching and throwing. And then in 2006, they added boundaries, and we ended up like pressuring out at the end of the game. Duke had the ball, they were ahead, and because of the boundaries, they overthrew the ball. We got the ball back and ended up going down, scoring, tying it, and then winning it in overtime.
Sarah Albrecht won the game.
That was,
yeah.
it's so sad that game was not on television, because I think that was probably one of the most epic games that we had as a program. Duke was amazing that year, led by Katie Crest, Kristen Wagbo.
The game didn't end till, I can't remember what time it ended, because it was a huge rain delay.
Definitely.
So it was at BU. We were in the locker room there for a long time. Sarah Albrecht, actually, the girl we thought won the game.
Yep.
We had Lex at the time. She lost all the play cards at halftime.
No, after the semifinal, she left them in the locker room.
I thought she lost them on the rain delay.
No, it was after the semifinal game. We came back for the final game, and Scotty's like, "You got the cards," and Lex was like, "I'm working on that."
She had like Sharpies out trying to draw stuff up. So.
Yes, we made it work, but even during that, leading to that Duke game, I remember this girl, Kristen Wagbo, who's now the coach of Virginia Tech. She was a phenomenal player.
Didn't her brother marry Bailey Sue?
Yes, her brother married one of our players, and but she was just a phenomenal player and just huge. She was probably 6'2", just really, there wasn't that many girls at 6'2" playing lacrosse at that time, so we were going to kind of try to take her out of the game, and Scott came. I remember Scott specifically coming to simulate Kristen Wagbo in the practice setting, and we ended up being able to so I think the thing about Scotty is that he's just really willing to do whatever to help us, help this program. He loves the game of lacrosse. He loves sports in general. And so I think as we went, his involvement and his passion for what we were doing kind of grew. And then I don't know the year that you actually really, you left the law firm and started to come full time with us, but I remember.
It's probably around the time Harley was born, because it was just, when you have two people with two jobs working 8 hours a week, and then we started having kids, it wasn't going to work. Mm-hmm. So we just had to figure out what made the most sense at the time. So do I want to stick at the law firm, and then Kelly would dial, do something different, or vice versa. So at the time, why not do something that was fun versus, not that law firm wasn't fun, but we were in Evanston. We lived in Evanston. Place was in Evanston, so it was just more of an easy fit to transition into that than versus doing something different. So it was, I don't remember what it was, but it must have been 07 or 08 around that time.
And then I think the real catapult was in 09, because I lost my dad that year, and that was super tough for me. I could really only keep it together. I lost him in February, which I missed a game. That was probably the only game I've ever missed in my career.
Duquesne.
Yep, and Scott basically took the reins that year. I would come to practices, do my best, but it was for me, it was a really tough year just because my dad was such a integral part of my athletic career, who I became as a person. He was a real advocate of women and me being a strong woman, and so that was definitely a tough season. And I think that since that 2009 year, Scott's been heavily involved. So since then, we had him as a volunteer assistant pretty much the whole time. Do you remember the year that we transitioned you to regular coach?
I can't remember, but, I'm trying to think. It was, I don't know. It was Tim McCormick was around, right? Was Tim here?
Yeah.
So it was probably not till 2017, 18 maybe.
Yeah.
So, but Yeah, so that was, like I said, that was definitely, that 2009 season was an interesting one for sure. And it was, like I said, Kelly's father was a big part of what we did too, because he was just so into it. You know what I mean? You go to his house. If you ever went to his house, the first thing he pops on is some video of Kelly. You couldn't get a word in before he started talking about Kelly or his family. So it was a lot, and he had been out here a little bit before he died too, which was hard, good and bad. I mean, it was good that he came out, and it's hard to kind of see him going through what he went through towards the end there. But it's someone that's, I'm sure, that's always close to Kelly's heart, and whenever we're playing, which is kind of cool too. It's just kind of fun to keep him involved a little bit. And our daughter's name is Lou, for Kelly's dad. So I don't remember exactly though the year. I'm trying to think of it now, but.
Yeah, so anyway, we did promote you to a regular assistant after probably, I think it was like 18 years or something. So Scotty finally got paid, so that was good. And then I think that, honestly, like the biggest thing in us working together, I would say it's a really cool situation because we obviously get to spend a lot of time together. I know the biggest question that we get from people when we meet people or they talk to us is like, how do you guys work together? This is like, I could never work with my spouse. And it's definitely a challenge. I think Scott's a very patient person, and he really respects female athletes, and he respects me as a leader, and not just, as his wife. But I think that over the years, we've been able to really evolve this thing. And even, when we were kind of trying to reimagine ourselves after we weren't making Final Fours and, things weren't going as well as we would have liked to, we had like hard conversations. And, that's the good thing about having a spouse as someone you work with, is you can kind of be pretty honest. You always have someone to hold you accountable all the time. And Scott really pushes me to be better, and I hope that, I push him to be better as well. But when we were reimagining ourselves, we actually flipped the script, and Scott had always worked with the defense, even though he was a phenomenal attacker in college, and I worked with the offense. And at the time, we had Tim McCormick, who was a goalie and strong defensively, and we said, what if we switch the roles? And that was a really cool thing, because we were getting the shot clock was coming in and person up situations, and Scott's like, I just really feel like I can bring a lot to the table. And that was, when Scott really started to take reins of the offense, and I would kind of go back and forth. And then after Tim left, I pretty much took over the defense, and we still obviously like help each other out a lot, but I think the dynamic has really grown over the years. And I don't know if you would say this, Scotty, but I think having a daughter that's like coming into the age of our current players has really helped us.
No doubt.
Become better coaches, identify with our players more, just what they go through, the pressures that they're under, in all areas of their life.
No, it's very true. We don't want to give you too much, Jack, and I promise that next time I'll have some really good stories if we do this again. So it's a little tease that if people want to come in next time, I got better stories, and we can certainly talk about those as well. But I think there's a couple of questions you want to ask, or someone's want to ask. Who's going to ask?
All right, I got the questions here, Scotty. All right, let's see. Who is the better cook?
I don't think we either one.
This question's from Serafina DeMuno.
Oh, no way. I know Harley was going to ask some questions too. Neither one of us are good cooks. Uber Eats, I don't know.
I would say I'm a better cook. I got at least a little bit from my mom. She's a phenomenal cook. Scott's mom's a phenomenal cook too. But
I can make breakfast and
we
sandwiches.
definitely are sometimes short on time and definitely like to go out to eat a lot too.
Agreed.
So, all right, this is a good one. John,
Oh,
he said, you should put me playing this year.
we should put John playing. He'd be an absolute stud defender probably.
Defense. I was imagining him on the offensive end,
I think he's
posting up in the middle.
I think he's more of a communicator on defense. I think he'd be talking to kids.
True.
And
Good
so
point.
He's
Good point.
He's a John's special. He could play any team I coach. John can play on.
Absolutely. He brings the energy, that's for sure. Yeah. And there's nobody more loyal than John. We were fortunate enough that Aaron Kuykendall and the Kuykendall family brought him into our program, and he's really, really special to us. And we're very excited we get to go to Ohio State this year and be at their home turf. We got another one here, Scotty. Biggest challenge to get over as coaches?
Biggest challenge to get over? Geez, that's a tough one. There's a lot of them. I'll let you take that one. I'll...
You know, I think probably when I have a strong opinion, you know, sometimes just coming to an agreement there. We sometimes have a challenge.
Challenge between us, or is it challenges in general?
It could be anything, but I was assuming it was just as us coaching together.
I'll plead the fifth and just defer to patience, I think.
But I think our other staffers, Jack, Kira, Lex, and Charlie do a great job of bringing the laughter, bringing the juice, and I think that's probably the best thing, is that when we are faced with challenges, we can always kind of laugh about it and have some fun. I mean, that's the real joy in this program and us working together and being able to do what we love every day, is that we have a ton of fun. I think that no challenge is viewed as that big because we feel so fortunate about what we do every day and to get to work together.
Yeah, I think especially in today's environment, I think fun is the most essential thing that we can bring, one of the most essential things we can bring to the table. You know, when I was playing or when Kelly's playing, you know, we didn't need to, you know, we made our own, you know, we did, there was no internet, there was no social media, you know, we made our own fun, and it was a different time. And I think that to get these girls, young women, to laugh and have fun and enjoy what they're doing is something that's really hopefully meaningful for them to take with them after the fact, because that's what it's all about. I mean, with everything that seems to be going on in the world and in their lives, and it's a different time, and you know, I just, the more we can bring fun, in-person fun, I think sometimes is the best thing we can do, and try to create ways to do that. I just find today it's just so hard for me. You know, I'm not a big social media person, but you know, always getting these like emojis, laugh out loud. Really? I mean, does people really laugh out loud? Or the smiley faces, like just to make people laugh in person? I feel like it's evident too. Like the other day we told a joke, and like just to watch these kids, they just want to laugh. You know what I mean? I think girls and people that age just want things to make them laugh these days, because there's so many other things, distractions going on. And I think the joke was, I can't remember what it was, but it was something about what's the girl's name? Adele, the singer. Why did Adele cross the road? And it was to sing Hello from the Other Side. And like to hear like Jane Hansen just lost it, like, and they all just started cracking up so hard, and I just hope that's something that they can get out of this, is that this is supposed to be fun. There's gonna be a lot of more things in life that aren't fun, but if they can make this time fun for them, if we can bring that one thing, we're doing a pretty good job.
For sure. All right.
I think it was Adele. Is that the
I'm
right
going to
person?
give you this one.
Oh, jeez.
Advice for overseas recruits.
Advice for overseas recruits. Yikes. Like Australia, or what are we talking?
I don't know. It's
The girl's from Scotland.
Scotland.
Oh, okay.
Scotland.
My parents are Scottish, so that's a start. That's a pretty good question, being from Scotland, since my mom is Scottish. I think that the advice I would give is, you know, obviously with today's day and age and digital and internet and content, you can make a pretty good video yourself. You can kind of reach out through social media, through the internet, through film, get someone to film what you're doing, and just network somebody. If you know somebody from, you know, somebody in the United States who might know someone in a program, or just have them reach out, and the best you can is to figure out a way to kind of get on someone's radar. And the best way to do it, I think, is through some type of video with some type of follow-up with a person that has a connection to that person. I'm not sure that's a great answer, but.
Yeah, I would just say the video thing is the biggest thing, and then just kind of knowing, you know, the timing of things is huge.
Come to a camp, separate yourself. You know what I mean. Come to the United States and try and, if you have the resources to do it, along with those videos, you can come and do a little like a tour of the United States, hit a bunch of schools while you're here, meet those coaches. I don't think any school is going to say no to someone that says, "Hey, I'm from Scotland. I play lacrosse. I'm going to be in the area. Can I stop by and see you guys?" And I think that'll engage the coach, and then once if the coach meets with you, then the coach will probably go watch the video, and you're kind of on your way.
All right, this is our last question. Yeah. We've been going on too long
Good.
here.
I'm getting hungry.
All right.
Time to go to Kellogg.
What makes Northwestern Lacrosse different and special?
Jack.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I think there's a lot of special programs out there. I think we have a lot of respect for, you know, our peers in the industry, and I think being able to play a sport in college is such a special experience, and you get such an amazing bond, and I think we don't really take that too lightly. We both had incredible experiences in college. We're both coached by legendary coaches, you know, myself with Cindy Timshaw and, you know, Scott, Dick Garber. And so, you know, we feel so fortunate to have been influenced by two people that, you know, really understand it, and it's the bigger picture. So many people think playing lacrosse is, you know, winning games and, you know, scoring goals or making stops, but it's really truly the relationships that you build that you will carry with you no matter what program you're at. And, you know, we just try to provide an environment where that type of situation can be fostered. I think that Northwestern is a very, very special university, and I think that having the combination of, you know, top academics and athletics and just the level of people and support that we have there is pretty incredible. But I don't think that, like, we feel like we're, you know, that much different or better than anyone else. We just try to have a good time in what we do, and bring a lot of passion to it, and hard work, try to work our hardest, and have a lot of fun.
Yeah, Kelly said it. I think there are a lot of good programs out there. You know, they all do different things well. They all do a good job. We just try to focus, you know, as cliche as it sounds, control what we can control. Focus on what we're doing, not what everybody else is doing, and, like, you know, just make sure that we're trying to do the best we can to relay our experiences to our student athletes. You know, both we've had, the amount of years of experience that both Kelly and I have on all kinds of different levels of playing the sport, coaching the sport, being involved in the sport, and just trying to, you know, translate that information into the student athletes we have. May be a little bit of the uniqueness with that many years of experience between us that we can try and do that, but you know, we're not perfect. We're just doing the best we can, and we feel like we really, at this point in our lives, we've done enough where this, like Kelly said, we're not chasing anything, and we're just kind of here to kind of hopefully, you know, give some experiences that we've had when we were growing up, and some of the things that we did that were a lot of fun.
This has been fun, and hopefully this isn't the most boring podcast you've ever had.
I know, right?
But, you know, it's our privilege and pleasure to represent this program every day. We don't take that lightly, and we're so happy that some of you follow us, and hopefully we can keep inspiring and giving you great things to look up to. So go Cats.
All good. Thanks, Jack.